hard for me to really care less about the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing or the Oscars, frankly. But some of the takes are sort of just absolutely ridiculous. And this is one of them right here. Here's Ryan Grimm. God bless him. I like him. Ryan. Yep. Yes.
Great.
But everybody can get one wrong. And how does he get it wrong? And he says, now, Jimmy is right about this. Now, listen. Now, let me just make something clear. I don't care that this is coming from Jimmy Dore. If some other like bad comedian or even a good comedian who was not, full of garbage takes had come up with this same take and Ryan Grimm had said, Billy is right about this one, or Kevin is right about this one, or Mary is right about this one, or whatever, and it said this thing, I would have the exact same problem with it. Although there is a huge amount of hypocrisy and ridiculousness.
Yes.
But this taken in of itself deserves, like, I don't know. I think like the bottom line is you should not commit an act of violence, period. Right? Like, I mean, I guess if if someone's trying to punch you, I'm okay with you punching back. But you should not commit an act of violence.
Yeah.
And
I'll reiterate what I said before. I think maybe the joke was in poor taste by Chris Rock. Fine. I think that largely the story should be, are we going back to it?
I don't know why that shifted in. Hold off on that. Go back.
but largely the story should be is that like Will Smith is a huge Hollywood actor who seemingly has probably been coddled by a bunch of people, including Scientologists. He's very much in his own particular bubble and found that action was acceptable in a way to respond and defend his wife, which like I have issues with in and of itself because she has her own agency. She can speak for herself. And this is probably going to cause them a lot more trouble than it's worth. But that's it.
So here's Jimmy Dore's take, which is hilarious. This is the guy who's like, oh, you don't like it being polite and this and that. And these, he's the one. Didn't he say something about you, actually, where he's like, if you went out and talked to working people that you'd get.
Wow, this just came in. I was just reminded of this. Yes, he said I'd get punched in the face, which was like not that thinly veiled. That if I went and talked to anybody who wasn't rich or something, that I would get punched in the face. If you talked to a
worker, you would get punched in the face.
Yes.
All right. So
that's his perception of workers, is that they're just inherently violent. That's Jimmy's perception.
Here's his perspective, too. It's also his perspective, apparently, that husband boyfriends are also very suspect. He writes, what Will Smith and the Academy Awards did was to make everyone who performs live a lot less safe. Now, speaking of someone who just did a live show.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about what this means.
It's the Will Smith effect. Everybody's going to just come up and start slugging comedians.
Here it is. Now, the next time a comedian gets heckled by a woman. Now, to be clear,
there's one condition.
This is not a situation that took place at the Oscars.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Jada Pinkett Smith did not heckle Chris Rock.
Why add that condition in there?
I don't know. It's weird because he's trying to justify his situation where he's afraid he's going to get hit, maybe.
Right.
And he goes, and the comedian responds, her husband / boyfriend will feel it is his duty to assault the comedian because everybody who goes to a comedy show is an idiot and only takes their cues from what Will Smith does.
Yeah. Amazing how people support this. Agree that you should not be supporting it. Agree that you should not be supporting it. But like the whole scenario is just working backwards from his specific
exactly. People should support it because you should encourage
Don't
people
hit
to
me,
go,
please.
Don't hit
me, please.
But is it supportive? Like, because the idea is that if you see Will Smith do this, it becomes an expectation that it's okay. Sort of like when maybe somebody says, if you go out and talk to a worker, you're going to get slapped, punched in the face.
Right.
That's
it's almost like
the same impact.
Right.
That's normalizing it.
Exactly.
It's basically naturalizing it. Like if you do that, that's what happens. So,
saying it's inevitable. So if you're a fan of me, I don't know. You're the real supporter of the working class.
And he is accusing them, and maybe they did, normalizing assaulting performers who offend you. This is crazy, he writes. What, did we pull up the one that he said about Emma?
We'll find it.
Or let's also do the one we did with AOC.
Yeah, let alone he was routinely mocking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for her. He just cares so much about.
Somebody happened to put up like 100 of these because it was like shooting barrels in a fish in a barrel. This is violence. We should feel sympathy for AOC because he was relentless in attacking her for being worried that not people rushed the stage and slapped somebody, but literally hundreds of people rushed the Capitol building, crushed cops, rushed through, had all sorts of different types of weapons, had zip ties, and he was people mocking Congress people for being worried about that. But instead, he gets out of the Will Smith thing that comedians are in danger. I will say this. I have a lot of friends who are stand-up comedians, and the number of calls I got from all of them worried about their performance. That they're going to get in trouble, that they're going to get attacked on stage.
They can't do crowd work anymore.
Exactly zero.
Now I can't make a joke about a pearl necklace in the front row without worrying about getting my ass kicked.
Can you believe the unbelievable bizarro narcissism associated with this?
This is about me right now.
Because then his hypothetical scenario isn't even what happens. Like if you're going to insert yourself into the conversation and make it really about how can we protect me, maybe at least oh wait, whether we have this up. Okay. Maybe at least just make it a little bit more contextual. But do we have that thing?
Well, so we got Bobby Lewis has a poll for the most unhinged tweets about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and there's some funny ones here. We'll just go through. Here's the first one. Buddy Max Blumenthal, been on the show before. Just in time for the flood of Azov atrocity videos, as if Will Smith was like, we need a massive distraction.
Oh, it's all a conspiracy.
Wait, what? Seriously? No, I think he's. I don't think he's.
Will.
Or is he implying that,
yes.
It's a distraction? Look at the meme is the Zelensky media Will Smith.
Yep.
And so like the original one is already kind of like a little bit of an eye rolly one, but he's repurposing it to say like actually it's a distraction.
Yes, Will Smith wants nobody to understand how Putin is very righteously denazifying Ukraine.
There's two allegations against Smith here. One that he's taken attention away from Zelensky, and the other that he's taken away from.
But to be fair, I feel like that meme is saying that that the media is more interested, and that's true. Of course, that's true. That's definitely true. I mean, look at us. We're talking about this not as opposed necessarily to Zelensky, but opposed to Ukraine.
I mean, we did talk about the Biden stuff, but we have given this equal weight.
Right. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Right, but the meme is true. It's just the idea that this is planned or in some way.
Right.
Like strangely coincidental.
Here's another one. This is from Ted Frank. Tonight was I don't know who Ted Frank is. Tonight was a nationally televised display of black privilege, and no one in mainstream media will cover it that way.
It's literally rich person privilege. If you get that's the difference between what Jimmy's talking about, what happened with Will Smith. Will Smith's a multi-millionaire, and that's why nothing's going to happen.
Like I say, if it was Gary Busey who went up there and slapped Chris Rock, it would be a very different conversation.
And he won the freaking Oscar later in the evening.
If it was, I don't know, Chris Spencer, and went up there to Chris Rock, it would be a very different story.
It was worse for Kanye West when he went up there and said that thing about Taylor Swift. And like that
I don't even know.
I mean, she rode that. There was some like racialization, I think, that she used to her advantage in that situation. But that's a whole different
Two more here. There's so did like anyone walk out after that happened, or are we getting an independent psychological case study on how true?
Right. Somebody said that. That is nuts. That is nuts.
The last one here. Judd Apatow. He could have killed him. That's pure out of control rage and violence. They've heard a million jokes about them in the last few decades. They're not freshmen in the world of comedy. Hollywood comedy.
I would agree with almost all of that tweet, except for the first sentence is like, I don't think so. I mean, I suppose they, but at one point someone would have interceded.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if
Remember the Jesse Waters fear, that his biggest fear is that he accidentally punches someone and they fall over and crack their head open.
Right.
So.
maybe if Will Smith's hand had like had one of those medieval metal like gloves from a suit of armor, maybe it could have killed him. But yeah, this stuff is more towards the end. Oh, great.
Rewind it or no?
Fine. No, just we already said we'd play it.
Ash. Progress. So what she's doing is undermining.
No, I mean I don't care.
But is it entertaining?
Yeah, I don't care. It's not upsetting to me. It's just, is it still contextual? We can go ahead though.
Activists in the middle of a big 50 different cities for Medicare for all. Hey, why don't you ask to speak at that and go out and give your opinion? Why don't you go out there and interview some of those people and tell them about the Red-Brown Alliance that you're so worried about that you have no fucking idea what you're talking about? And by the way, these are the kind of people who like to quote Marx as if they're smart because they went to good colleges that got paid for by their corporate lawyer parents. But if
this is some incredible projection here, like what is in his mind about Emma? Because look, I know you're not averse to Marx, but I don't feel like you.
No, I'm not a theory person.
Emma does all of her spouting about Marx off camera, which is weird that he says that.
Yeah.
if they ever got within 5 feet of a worker, they'd get punched in the fucking face. Emma Vigeland ever got anywhere near a fucking worker, they'd tell her to get the fuck out of here.
Now that is very similar to the Will Smith energy, where it's like, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah,
very same energy.
Totally same attitude. And I mean, the idea that like somehow everybody, like every guy who goes to a comedy club who has a girlfriend or a wife is now a potential threat for comedians in comedy clubs because that Will Smith normalizes it. But him saying that this is what's going to happen if you get within 5 feet of a working person.
Remember when Jimmy Dore spit on Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Those were better times.
You can normalize spitting on people.
That's when I knew him, and maybe that's when he heard me quoting Marx covertly all the time behind the scenes. But I just want to say this one thing about like this response to the, and we can leave the Will Smith thing alone again. Like I said this earlier, but I want to hammer this point home. Men do not, it's not, I know this is chivalrous in the traditional historical sense, but in my opinion, in modern society, it should not be perceived as chivalrous to hit someone on behalf of like a comment made about your significant other. And it's like, it's a joke. It was a bad joke and it was in poor taste. It just should be a no-brainer to me. But I think that, you know, like hitting someone in response to you getting hit is a different situation. But, you know, I don't like when men act like they're, or significant others with female significant others act like they're the female person in their relationship doesn't have any agency or ability to stand up for themselves, because often it makes it more about you. And then it's you're perceiving your female significant other as an extension of yourself, and then that's just like really male ownership at the end of the day, and I don't love that. So that's my take.
All right, let's stop talking about Will Smith and Chris Rock.
So
that sounds very authoritarian, I suppose.